Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Black Moon Astro. This is Meg. Today I'm guided to talk about soulmates and twin flames in astrology. I've already made 2 videos about this, wherein in the first one, I discussed why I attribute the North Node and the South Node and the Moon to soulmates, the vertex, the anti-vertex, and the Sun to twin flames. But in this video, I'd like to go more in depth into this. And so, to begin, perhaps you're wondering what the vertex is and what the North and South Node is and how we calculate this. It gives you a better perspective of how these points and angles relate to us here as people on Earth. So the vertex is not a planet, it's not an asteroid. It is a mathematical point or angle where the sun's orbit, called the ecliptic, crosses what is called the prime vertical, which is that imaginary plane that divides the Earth from the zenith, the top, the highest point in the sky, down to the nadir, the lowest point. And it divides the chart or Earth into the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. In the east is where we assign the anti-vertex. That's where the ascendant is. And on the west is the vertex, where you see the descendant. That the left side is the east on a chart and the right side is the west on a chart. But the vertex is calculated from the medium Celli, the MC, down to the IC, Imum Celli axis on a chart. So the main cross on a chart is the MC at the top of the chart and the IC on the nadir down. And then on the left side to the right side, you've got your ascendant and the descendant on the horizon. The horizon is what defines the horizontal axis, and it's based on when the sun rises on the east and then sets on the west. But from a geocentric perspective, the sun is at its highest point on the zenith, where the MC is, across Cancer, which begins during summer, when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. Because from a geocentric perspective, shines its rays on the houses across from it. You see, so that's why you have Cancer and Leo, the 2 signs of summer, down. When the sun rises, that is your ascendant. It rises on the ascendant, which defines, if we're going to talk about the astrological year, it begins at 0 degrees Aries and makes its way around the chart. Now, whatever sign is there at the time you were born is going to be your ascendant sign. Okay, so that is how a vertex is calculated. It's based on the highest point in the sky, and it divides the Earth into the eastern and western hemisphere on the horizontal plane, which defines our existence on Earth, on this planet. The highest point and the lowest point are more connected to the sun, to the spirit, to everything else above us, to the cosmos, far away from Earth. Whereas the moon, with South Node and North Node, the moon's orbit intercepts the ecliptic, the path of the sun in the sky relative to Earth, because in astrology we use the geocentric perspective, where we look at how we relate to all the planets from Earth. Whereas in the true solar system, of course, the sun is at the center. But in a geocentric perspective, because we associate these planets with their energy and how their energy affects us, our lives on Earth, then we use the geocentric perspective. So the moon, south node, and north node are the eclipses. And these eclipses on a chart, when you look at the north node and south node, move in the opposite direction as all the other planets. This reveals to us how the moon's nodes operate and follow a different compass as compared to all the other planets that affect our regular forward cycles in life. And so contacts made through the nodes of the moon on a chart have a very subconscious theme to it. That's why soulmates feel a pull towards each other that they can't seem to comprehend either. Similar to the vertex, it's coming from somewhere else that we aren't that familiar with, but it still feels very close to us. These are undercurrents. These are relationships built on things that we feel are fated and we have no control over, and they just come to us out of nowhere. So we feel a very, very strong pull towards these types of relationships. But often we confuse soulmates and twin flames because it feels very different. I'll talk more about soulmates in another video and explain further the exact feeling, and I'll try to find a way to explain as much as I can how it really feels to meet a soulmate, because in this video I'd like to focus on twin flames. In Western astrology, is seen as North Node as your destiny and your dharma in this life, and South Node as your past life, skills you brought with you when you were born into this lifetime, and your karmic imprints from your last incarnation or from other incarnations prior to this one. Ideally, we're supposed to move away from the South Node and move towards our destiny. This shows our karmic cycles in life. The moon goes around the Earth, so its orbit affects us very closely. How we go about living as we go through different cycles and incarnations. Whereas the sun represents our purest form, our true essence. It's closer to God and to spirit. And so the sun and the vertex, which is calculated from the highest point in the sky, the zenith, points towards the sun. So that explains how the twin flames are closely related to the sun. Since twin flames come down straight from God, from spirit, from source, and split into two to incarnate on earth and spread that pure love towards the rest of the world and each other. So the love between twin flames is pure and unadulterated. But as they go through cycles of the soul and encounter many different soulmates, they gather experiences from these soulmate relationships and develop imprints, karmic imprints, for the evolution of their own souls. But when they do meet, when they have reached a certain level of evolution and spirituality, and they do finally meet on earth, they remind each other instantly of that pure form that they have within them, where they originally came from. which is why the love between twin flames is divine. And when they connect, it's very powerful. The sun is more powerful than the moon if you're looking at where the source of energy is really coming from. The entire solar system revolves around the sun. The sun holds everything together. It is the life force on earth, as well as the life force within us. It resides in the very core of our being. That is why when twin flames meet, it ignites that life force within us, that liquid fire that is wrapped around, coiled like a serpent, which is also known as the Kundalini, life force in our sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is where the womb is. This is where we create. Also, it explains why the fifth house is part of Dharma, or path to meeting God. The first house is yourself, mastering yourself. The fifth house represents your creative life force, your ability to create. And the ninth house is the house of God. That is where you meet God. So we meet God through fire, through light. So on a chart, below the horizon, which is the ascendant and descendant axis, where the sun sets and is hidden from Earth, because below the axis, from the first to the seventh house, is where things relate to the earth plane. And a little bit up to the eighth house. Eighth house is the astral plane, the next plane after the earth plane, which is defined by the ascendant and descendant axis. So while the sun is hidden and at its lowest point, which is in the fourth house, the rays is interpreted as shining on the cosmos, the higher planes, closer to where the sun actually sits. That is why anything that happens beyond the seventh house relates more to the psyche and the shadow parts and the higher mind and the higher planes, closer to God. When we look at life on earth, the first to the fourth house involve who we are. Fourth is, it's more complicated to explain the fourth. It represents so many things, but it involves both ourselves and events that happen in our lives. Let's keep it at that for now. And then from the fifth to the seventh, and somehow to the eighth, is where we find the vertex, angle, or point. Because this is where events in our lives manifest. And that is also why the fifth house is where we are able to manifest and create from our life force, which is ruled by the sun and the sign Leo. Now, as it moves above the horizon, the ninth house is where you meet God, like I said earlier. So to be able to manifest, see, the 10th house, we interpret that as our goals and career. But really, on a more spiritual level, it represents our highest goals as spiritual beings. So after meeting God is when we're able to manifest our highest goals. See, Saturn rules the 10th house, and it lies astronomically right at the border between the planets that can be seen and the planets beyond Saturn that cannot be seen. This is why Saturn knows the secrets of the cosmos, of the higher planes, and of the higher mind, and brings all of that down to Earth on a chart right at the axis of the MC, the zenith, and the IC, the nadir. So Saturn is the planet of manifestation of all things on earth. As you cross that and you realize God and your ability to manifest from the higher planes and bring it down to earth, Saturn also rules the 11th house traditionally, which is the house of community, one love, friendship, technology, everything electric, because everything, the matrix is electric. The entire planet is electric. So you move on to the higher mind, from which we can manifest creative and innovative ideas taken from the higher planes on earth. After that, we move on to the next plane, which is the 12th house, the exit from our karmic cycle of life to enlightenment. The 12th house on the higher planes from a spiritual perspective is the house of enlightenment. So after meeting God, you learn to manifest from thought, the higher mind, and then you move on to your enlightenment. This is the true mission of Twin Flames. This is the Twin Flame journey. It is the path to meeting God and the path to enlightenment, which is sped up as Twin Flames ignite this within each other. And the higher our level of spirituality, the more we're able to access the Kundalini life force that is a direct electric energetic connection to God, to Source, to Spirit, on the vertical axis on a chart. So when twin flames meet, the Kundalini is activated. It may not immediately rise all the way to the top, but it's going to activate it. It depends on the level of spirituality of both partners, but one of the clearest and surest signs of a twin flame connection is the awakening and activation of the Kundalini, which, as I've explained, is linked directly to the vertex calculated from the prime vertical, the highest point in the sky, down to the MC and IC axis on a chart. When twin flames talk, as I've been hearing a lot, and this is not going to be a very popular opinion, but I'm here to spread what I've learned and the truth that I know based on all the charts that I have done of people claiming to be twin flames, and I've had to show them the nature of their relationship and how the idea of twin flames is derived from a completely different part of the chart compared to what they are going through karmically. Then the truth is, twin flames don't have drama. The twin flame charts that I have read, where two people come together, whom I have interviewed apart from reading their charts, have told me that there is no drama, the love is pure, despite all the traumatic experiences either one or both parties have had in their past, they heal each other and they're able to be together in silence, in peace, and pure love. That is how twin flames are. Because it doesn't make sense that you come from spirit only to incarnate and have a chaotic relationship when the relationship represents pure love. So when you meet anybody that you feel passionately for, that you feel a desire to be with, that you're obsessed with, that is a north node or south node with unfinished business relationship. It could also be a Plutonian relationship with Venus contacts, which makes it also very obsessive and very intense. You could mistake it. But the intensity of soulmate, karmic soulmate, and the intensity of a twin flame are very different. You feel the soulmate from a heavier, lower, grounded, earth-bound vibration, whereas the intensity of a twin flame is ethereal. It feels like what they call darshan or darshana in yoga practice or in meditation. When you're in the presence of something holy, you get that feeling when you walk into a holy place or some sacred place. You get that feeling that you are in the presence of something very sacred. That is the kind of intensity that you will feel with your twin flame, something you have never felt before. It is not going to be obsessive or hurtful. You will not hurt each other. You will not want to hurt each other. You may run and be freaked out by the whole experience, yes, but you will have this understanding that even though one runs or one ends up with someone else or marries somebody else or decides to live their life away from you, there will not be that pain. There will be a pure love and understanding that everything is the way as it should be. There's not going to be that need to merge in the way that people who are obsessed with each other in a soulmate karmic relationship feel. Okay, you're going to want to be together. It's going to feel like you can't help, because that's what the vertex is. It's like a pull that you can't understand. It's coming from somewhere else. And when you're going to feel that pull, but it's not going to be painful. When you part, it's going to be more of a mystery, like what on earth just happened? What is this all about? It's something so different from human experience. It is not human. It is beyond the human experience. And so you're going to wonder about it, and you're probably going to obsess over the idea of it and try to figure it out and try to know what this is about, because it touched a part of you that is so pure. And so you want to understand it. You see, but you don't want to grab onto that person. You don't want to stop that person. You don't want to clip that person's wings. You don't want to disrupt that person's life. You love them anyway. And it's not even the kind of love that you feel when you're falling in love and no, there is that factor when you first meet, because we're so used to that. We've been conditioned to view things from that perspective. But as you continue your spiritual practice and as you grow closer and closer to your pure form, you begin to understand what that kind of love represents. That you are two individualized parts of one whole sacred matrix that represents the life force that holds us all together and our connection to God within and without. When you meet a twin flame and you feel that kind of ethereal connection to someone that you have never felt before, and the coincidences, that the synchronicities that happen prior to meeting or when you meet are uncanny. You cannot explain the way you meet. When twin flames meet, the vertex transit is usually transiting the 7th house. So the vertex can be activated through transits to your natal chart, progress chart, But with twin flames, we look at the synastry chart and the composite chart. In astrology, and based on astrological research, the vertex is associated with fate, fated encounters, or your ray energy which you need to cultivate in this lifetime, what you draw into your life, cosmic awareness, visions, ESP, telepathy. These things are associated with the vertex. All these strange occurrences that come out of nowhere and are activated, like I said, by transits, other people in a synastry chart or a composite chart, and places. The vertex usually shows up in the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth houses. These are the houses that have a direct effect on events that happen in our lives. If it's in the other houses, the effect isn't as powerful when you're talking about actually experiencing the vertex effect in our lives. So when it transits the seventh house, that's when you draw in very fated cosmic type love connections. And another thing I've noticed in charts of twin flames is that twin flame meetings are not only defined by vertex transits to the seventh house, but also when major planets either conjunct or have very significant transits on your personal chart, on the personal charts of the twins. So, a Jupiter and Saturn conjunction, which is known to be a marker of time where very significant events happen in our lives, is one time when you could meet your twin flame. Another would be your Saturn return or your Jupiter return. So you see how rare it is in a chart to find people who are true twin flames. You need to be at a very high level of spirituality to meet your twin flame. You have to have that connection to spirit, that purity that shows up even at a very early age in your life. You have to have a chart that follows, that has significant planets in the path to God, the houses that are associated with the path to God, which is 1, 5, 9. Yourself, creation, creativity, and 9, the house of God and spirituality. That is where you meet God. As well as significant placements and meetings and encounters with your twin flame on the axis, and houses that reveal the soul's path towards enlightenment. So that would be the fourth, the eighth, and the 12th house. If a chart shows that both partners have very strong placements in these houses and shows that they are following a very spiritual path in their lives, then you see that these people have a higher level of spirituality, and therefore meeting a twin flame on earth is very likely. Not always, but they are ready because they vibrate at a frequency that is higher and directly connected to God. And we're not talking about fatalism or following a specific religion. It's something that is apart from all of that, but it's just a pure, direct connection to God. Otherwise, you will not be able to activate your Kundalini. You will not be ready for this type of love, which is not the usual earthly love that we know of. You will be subject to this in your relationships as you're getting older, but then you will always feel that pull towards something of a different type of love. that transcends what we know as love on earth between humans. Clearly, as demonstrated, a twin flame relationship is first and foremost a relationship with yourself and God. Then the partner comes in and you build the foundation of the relationship through your connection to spirit and to God. There cannot be a twin flame relationship that is purely soul based, it's spirit based, God based. If you feel that you have these qualities and the person whom you suspect has the same qualities as well, then it's good to check your birth charts to know the placements in the chart and to see if this person truly is your twin flame. In the next video, I will talk about the vertex in different houses, when, where, and how you could possibly meet your twin flame according to your chart. I guess that's it for today. I hope you've gained a little more knowledge on twin flames from the perspective of astrology. I hope to see you in the next video, and if you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe below. Thank you very much for watching.